Männer, war ein langer Krieg. Ihr habt tapfer und stolz für euer Vaterland gekämpft. Seid eine besondere Truppe, die ineinander...
Hey everyone, this is the Hydra Hut, and you guys like noir, or I guess noir detective films, because that's what we're going to talk about today, is some noir comics. This is Sam Noir. This is a Image book, and it's actually, so it's not really Image, it's Silverline, which is a subsidiary of Image, or it used to be. I don't think they actually exist anymore. But this is a reprint just by Image, so they're just calling it Image now. Oh no, yeah, see, there still is Shadowline, not Silverline. My bad. This was done in, I believe, 2008 or 2009, I think it was. This is by Eric A. Anderson and Manny Trembley. They both write it, and Manny does all the art. It's all done in grayscale. It's, I think, pretty awesome. I don't know if Eric has done any other writing. I tried looking him up, couldn't find anything by him. There's a game designer with the same name. Lots of people with the same name. Manny is still doing art and making comics. He's on Kickstarter with quite a few creations, it looks like. Stuff's all a little bit different than this, but you can tell it's him doing it. Definitely check him out, though. This is great. When it was by Shadowline, it was just called Samurai Detective, and his name was Sam. Now it's just called Sam Noir. It's just this one trade paperback. I don't think any more are ever going to show up, but I'm a big fan of this one. And I'm just going to cover the intro of it so you guys can see what it looks like. I'm not going to dive too much into the story, but I'm going to explain quite a bit, and hopefully you guys want to pick it up. Also, the quality of this book isn't that great. I've had this for maybe 2 weeks now, and there's already pages falling out of it. So take what you will from that. See, look at this. Just completely separated. That sucks. Alright. So, like all good noir, there's always got to be a dame. And that's where we start off, is with Sam talking about this girl that he was paid to watch. Well, I guess more like a princess. Not really a princess, but she's a high-ranking official's daughter, and he's being paid to watch her. And he is absolutely in love with her. And these are just all still shots of her actions, and him explaining how these simple actions are extremely beautiful to him, and how much he wishes that he could just be this flower, or this teacup, or this fan. It's just really showing us how much Sam cares for this girl. And then here we get some more monologuing of Sam, and this nice shot showing the girl. Her name is Jasmine. She doesn't know that he's been hired to watch her. He's just making sure nothing happens to her, making sure she doesn't do anything weird, or not weird, nothing bad happens to her. He's basically an at-distance guard. And this is really all just telling us our feelings. You can see Sam back here in the background too, which is pretty neat. So, as he's talking about the girl, he also introduces the fact that he is, he's also explaining what he does for a living, which is a private eye detective, basically. And that's when we find out that she actually, look at this. This is what I'm talking about. Pages are falling out. I've had this like 2 weeks. Crap's falling out. So as we come back to out of Sam's reverie, we're back in his office, and he's thinking about the case, thinking about the girl, and then that's when the dame walks through the door. Now, she has no idea that he's been paid to follow her, doesn't know anything about him, just knows that he's a private detective, and she needs help. He's shocked to see her, but at the same time, it's the love of his life, so he's trying to play it cool. He's talking to her about what she's worried about, learning everything he can. Get these freaking pages. Ugh. So, she needs help. She's fearing for her life. And then through the door we get 2 throwing stars shattering the glass of his front door. And hit Jasmine in the back, killing her in front of him. So, the love of Sam's life just got murdered in front of him. He quickly jumps into action, bails out the window to try and catch the guys that just killed Jasmine. And the great thing about the dialogue in this, it is very much classic noir style dialogue. I mean, if you read this in Humphrey Bogart's voice or Robert Stack's voice, it would just fit. He did a great job on the dialogue. My bad, not dialect. Plus, look at this art. Look at Sam. That is great. Great. I don't know what style of art this is. Like, if this is airbrush or what. I'm no art expert by any means, but I really like the way it works with this book. So Sam immediately goes out, or jumps through the window, lands outside. As he's basically doing an inner monologue, we get this nice panel-to-panel execution of his motions. He kills one of the men responsible, and that's when we see the two more guys. He gets banter back and forth. Sam steps 2. He saves one just long enough to. He saves one long enough to question him, and that's when he gets a name. The men tell him that they were hired by a Master Fuyu. So we get this next shot, which is a lovely shot of Sam walking through the park. Now, what I really like about this is basically just some inner dialogue of Sam saying where he's got to go, what he's going to do. It's a whole basically front page thing. But while he's thinking about the case, if you look up here in the corner, we get this ghosted out image of Jasmine in the background. What this does is it helps to illustrate that even while he's thinking about the case, the big thing in the back of his mind is still Jasmine. And if you're not really paying attention to the art, you're just looking at the basic pictures, or reading through the text, you're still going to kind of notice this out of your peripheral, and your subconscious is going to pick up on it. And you're still, whether you want to or not, you're going to be thinking about Jasmine too, which is kind of nice and helps you drop into the story. So as he's walking and reminiscing, he drops back into a little bit of his backstory where we see him as a child. Hey, it's the right hand. Like that flawless switch. That's the kind of quality I bring you here at the Hydra Hut, guys. So, we get a little bit of backstory of Sam as a child. Basically, he just wanted to hit people with sticks, and that's why he became a samurai. And then we see him as an adult. He becomes a samurai for an actual emperor. And this is where we find out why he's now a Ronin, a disgraced samurai, doesn't have a master, and is just a lone detective. And it was basically because he was working for this emperor. He, of course, fell in love with the emperor's daughter, but being a samurai, which is in all reality just a servant with special privileges, he wasn't allowed to talk to her, he wasn't allowed to look at her, speak to her. We get this nice shot here that shows the lower half of her face, which looks a lot like Jasmine's, and I think that's supposed to kind of help show why he so easily fell in love with Jasmine, even though he was just watching her. But of course, he was sent away on an errand. Another emperor came along, slayed everybody, burned and razed the place down. Sam showed up to find his love, the love of his life, and everybody else dead. All the guards who had survived the encounter, of course, seppuku'd. The emperor himself killed himself. So by the time Sam got there, it was just a big mass of death. But he was too absorbed with the loss of the love of his life, and instead just fled the country instead of taking his own life. The dialogue does, of course, a better job of explaining why he didn't seppuku like a good samurai. As we get out of that past memory, we are back to what we can assume is Master Fuyu's hut. Sam walks through the door like a boss and immediately starts harassing people. He just goes straight to calling names, which of course offends people. They make the first move, and Sam breaks the mouthy one's nose, takes down the other talkers. While he's doing that, he's monologuing about the types of people that professional goons hire. There's always the mouthy guys that are the weak ones, the quiet ones you gotta worry about. So he takes out the mouthy ones first, and then he's got the quiet guy left, and then he starts talking about how the quiet guys are always so arrogant, and are also kind of feminine in the fact that they're usually very graceful and quick. And then he talks about how much fun it is to kill the arrogant ones as he slays that guy. He did leave the first guy, who he punched in the face, alive, so he could question him. And he demands to know where Fuyu is and how he can find him. The guy, of course, wants to survive. Sam promises to not kill him, but we get some thought bubbles, which may or may not indicate that Sam has different ideas. And then we see the actual Fuyu mansion, palace, I don't know, domicile. Our little guard running to the gates. He goes to warn the people of the incoming Ronin, but Sam's already there. Oops, Sam's already there, as you can see. His katana pierces through. Down falls the body, and here's our hero. Inside, of course, there are plenty of archers, and we get this great scene where the archers draw down on Sam, and he starts talking about how there's a trick to fighting archers. There's just one thing that you have to know. And as the captain tells them to fire, he just books it, and before they can, fully take aim and fire their arrows, he's already on top of them, mass slaughtering him. And then his little bit of advice at the end is basically just don't get shot with an arrow. It's great. This is Sam is exactly what you want a noir detective samurai to be. And plus, look at this. These panel layouts. They're unique. I guess not really super unique, but you don't see this a lot in like Marvel stuff anymore, or the big guys really. And this grayscale art is just fantastic. So after finishing off those guys, he starts talking about how clearly the next guard is probably going to be some huge dude. And sure enough, what we think is a rock is actually a large guard. I'm going to go ahead and read this bit to you. You trespass, die now. And Sam, big man, not speak so good. You call me dumb? No, I'm sure you were top of your class. That's why you're out here in the cold, guarding rocks. And, of course, pisses the big guy off. And Sam starts talking about how the big guys are always really, really slow, which is great, because if they were smart, they would probably rule the world. Which is, that's pretty funny, considering a lot of the guys you see online who are way into lifting are also way into building their brains now. Anyway, let's move along. Sam bests the large guy with relative ease and starts talking about how the next one is going to be somebody tall and lanky. Turns out the tall and lanky is actually a blind dude, and Sam doesn't like blind guys. They freak him out. And the little dialogue about it's actually pretty funny. We get another great fight. Just assume that Sam comes out on top because he does. So as he's making the final approach, he's thinking that the last guy is usually somebody really fast, usually somebody sneaky, and that's when we get this little, I don't remember what these called, chakrams, something like that, a little flying disc thingy, and we have our little assassin hidden out in the snow. He catches it. Sam's able to spot him, bears down on him, and throws his sword, piercing the guy. Throws his katana, piercing the guy. So, after finishing the guards, he finally comes inside. He calls out to Fuyu. Fuyu basically is very calm. It's just like, I don't know who you are. Sam bursts through. Gives a little bit of quick dialogue kind of introducing himself. He assumes that Fuyu's going to know who he is, and it kind of upsets him that Fuyu's just like, I don't know who you are. And he's not worried, he's just calmly continuing to do what he was doing. Then we get a large bit of dialogue explaining where the rest of the story is going to go. We find out that this guy, right here, is actually the father of Jasmine. When Sam first finds out, he automatically assumes that the guy hired somebody to kill his daughter, and then he realizes that the guy is crying. He clearly did not know his daughter was dead, and is deeply disturbed by that. Calls Sam an idiot for believing what assassins say when they're on their deathbed. That's when we find out that somebody else hired these people to kill Jasmine to get back at Fuyu, who used to be an old-time criminal. But he got tired of the life. His partner offered him a deal to retire, so he did. But the partner's daughter, which is this little girl here, was so deeply offended that Fuyu decided to leave that we're thinking she actually hired these killers to kill Fuyu's daughter to get back at him for leaving the family. So Sam listens to the rest of the story, sits down, has a drink with the guy. He firmly believes his story simply because of how he reacted when he found out Jasmine died. Also, he now knows where Fuyu lives, and if he is lying, he will be back. As we get to this is all just, the reason I'm not really going into this is all backstory and filler, and I don't want to ruin too much of the story for you. I get a nice little bit here where Sam apologizes for killing all those guards needlessly. And then our final page, which is again Sam deep in thought as he's walking down the path, basically talking about how he doesn't like being used like a pawn in other people's plans, and he's going to go get revenge. And again, we can see this nice silhouette of Jasmine in the background. Or is it the princess? But anyway, this nice silhouette of Jasmine in the background, again showing that the central thought in Sam's mind is the love of his life. He's trying to make right by her. That's all I'm going to cover right now. These stupid freaking pages. But I highly recommend this book, guys. Definitely check it out. Again, Eric A. Anderson, Manny Trembley. This is an Image release, Sam Noir. Being as it's old, you can get it fairly cheap. I picked this up for $10 on Amazon, free shipping. Or you go in stock trades, it's like $8 with $4 shipping. Boom! Hail Hydra, baby. Have a good one.